Right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the March 26th Bifold Users Group Community Meeting. My name is Jason, and I'll be your host for today. This is part of the OpenWallet Foundation, which is in turn part of the Linux Foundation. So it's code of conduct and is in effect, and the antitrust policy as well. So please take a moment to view those if it's your first time joining us. Otherwise, we will continue. I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully you can all see it. So I've got a few planned topics today. Feel free to interject if you've got something you'd like to get on the docket. Otherwise, I've introduced myself. So if anybody's new to the call and would like to say hello, feel free to chime in and introduce yourself. I will pause for a moment and give you a chance to unmute yourself.
Hey Jason, sorry, just on the previous topic, can we add a particular topic here? This is Alberto.
Sure.
We're just
Tell me.
yeah, we'd like to talk about the patches. We're trying to merge some of the patches the BCGov wallet has into Bifold, so we have some issues, so we just want to talk about it. Thank you.
Added. All right. I don't have any good announcements today. So unless anybody else does, I will just skip that section. Moving on with the agenda. Not muted. Not good. Okay, migrating to the OpenWallet Foundation services. I've just checked with Rye this morning. It was a follow-up just to see if we've got a wiki yet. I stopped using the Hyperledger because we're no longer part of that organization, although this is technically their Zoom. I'm also seeing if Rye can create us a new Zoom link. So when it is created, I'll advertise it in the Discord channel and probably pin a topic to our GitHub repo so people can find us. I guess for since we don't have a place to put our notes, well, I'm just using HackMD, but I could copy and paste them into discussions here, which I think would be just fine. It's just a place to keep notes, and maybe that would even be better because then you don't have to find our wiki anymore. So might consider that. If anybody's got questions or comments or thoughts on that, please chime in. So yeah, I'm using HackMD, Zoom, MTM, PM namespace. I know one exists, but I don't know if we're set up to publish to it. Our GitHub's repos have been moved across. Discord, don't have much from the way of a logo. I think we might put a pin a topic and see if there's any creative folks amongst us who would like to design a new logo for the project. We still have the, I guess the Aries, the zodiac sign. That's what I would call it. So we might want something a bit different. And I've updated the docs. So repo code of conduct and whatever else should, there should be a pull request in for those changes. And it just kind of updates the tech, the terminology to the OpenWallet Foundation rather than Hyperledger. So that's the progress we're making so far.
Say zodiac sign.
Zodiac sign, yeah.
I thought it was more like Xbox theme.
Yeah, well, that's our color palette. It's Xbox green, which we could also maybe do with a reimagining that. But yeah, I think that Aries logo is Zodiac.
Cool.
Okay, project updates. This is just to keep track of some things we've announced in the past that we're going to be changing going forward. We haven't had the cycles to do it yet, but they're still important to us. So keep in mind that these are coming down the pike, and they may or may not impact pull requests or work you've got in progress. They're not in a particular priority order, but yeah, take a minute to check through them to see how it'll impact you and your work. Okay, so that said, I guess that was migrating to to OpenWallet Foundation, project updates, dependency injection. Kind of a quick chat about that one. Okay.
There's also there's a PR from Animal about upgrading to Credo and introducing anon creds in a W3C format. Maybe just mention if people want to help testing that out.
Yeah. Will do. Thank you. Okay, dependency injection. This was a PR we put in a couple of weeks ago, thanks to, I think, Clesio and Moss for grinding away on that one. It was a huge help. For anybody who's new to the games, a long time ago now, probably in 2020, early 2023, maybe even late 2022, we talked a bit about some architectural changes, and that was one. The dependency injection allows us to better expose a technique to customize the app, which we will be slowly pulling through the app, time permitting. So the idea is going to be you might not like the the proof request screen. So you might choose to implement your own mechanics for that, your own look and feel. And this will hopefully give you a better way to customize it without having to make too many changes, if any, to the underlying Bifold project. You can just customize the bits you are interested in, but it's going to take us a while to start converting components to that. So be patient, but that's the idea behind dependency injection. And if anybody's got any more to add on that, it was really just a catch up on that comment.
If we have time, maybe I can go over a little bit some of that update about the components. I think someone asked about what is Bifold idea, vision, where we're going with that. Might be useful to walk them through.
Yep, perfect. All right, we'll circle back at the end, time permitting. Focus on refactoring. So we have a few, I think we've recognized there's been a lot of functionality bolted onto Bifold over the last, I don't know, let's say 18 months or so. And we're going to take some time to clean up and refactor that. For example, the navigation's been a bit of a hot topic. It's a little hard to follow. Another thing is the state mechanics. So the way we manage state and load it is another one. The proof request screen, there's been, even we've struggled with it a little bit. There's AFJ at one point, if it had two similar credentials and you asked it to automatically select the best fit for that proof response, it would choose one. It wouldn't necessarily choose the most recent one or the most recent non-revoked one. So we put in some mechanics to manually help that along. Always choose the latest and greatest. And if you have the choice between a revoked and non-revoked, favor the non-revoked. But that code was never as awesome as it could be, a little thinly documented. So like refactoring that out of the proof request screen into a little helper library is going to make that code easier to manage. So we've got some refactoring coming down the pike just to clean up some logic in the app, and that'll be a focus over the next several sprints, and maybe even I might extend that to months. So expect some refactoring to come down the pike. Just gonna make a few notes here. I don't know. Anybody have some thoughts on that before I move on? We're just touching base on something we've discussed previously. Well, Right. This one's kind of an interesting one. Our friends at Animo have been hard at work helping update Bifold to both support W3C and OnCreds, and at the same time updating to no, I guess it's not AFJ, Credo 050, which is going to be a huge help. And it looks like can't draft ready for review. Got a few conflicts, but otherwise, I think this one's ready for review. So take a few minutes to check it out. I think it's going to be a big change. And if you're using Bifold as the base to your app, you're probably going to do a thorough regression test on it and maybe even test these credentials if possible. I don't have too much to remark on this because I haven't been following the work they've been doing. But yeah, it's a huge effort and always appreciated. Cosio, you got any remarks on this one? I'm not too familiar with the initiative.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about it. So this has to do with bringing a non-creds data structure or the credential itself, as well as the proof request, which is the presentation request, into W3C formats. The traditional or legacy, or I don't know if it's necessary legacy, the traditional non-creds formats, you're going to be supported, I guess, for a while. But the movement is to kind of have the unknown creds kind of wrapped under or inside a W3C format, which for me it's very exciting because it brings a whole kind of a lot of possibilities. One is that support for multi-credential format under this W3C format data reference data structure. So I know I'm excited about it. So that is a huge thing for us move forward. Some of this work, it's a result of some of the code with us that was put out by province of BC. There was like 3 code with us's. One was for the underlying Rust implementation, and the shared components and data model, things like that. There was changes to the Occupy side, and now changes to Credo and then Bifold. Does anybody have any question about that? I'm happy to answer as well. Alberto?
Yeah, just a quick one. I remember Deep mentioned something about OIDC, one of those Credo meetings. Does this include that, or is again, I'm not too familiar with this. This is kind of the newer things. But does this include that as well?
So with Credo 0.5, yes, OIDC will be available. I think you'd really be helpful to get some support from the community on how to enable OIDC in Bifold. So I think that'll be helpful. I think
so it'd be a matter of just implementing it in Bifold and seeing how we can do that.
Yeah, it's just configure the agent initialization and add the credential formats and all the presentation formats at the right spot. So I don't think it's a lot of work. From BC perspective, we're not using that right away, so it's not a priority. But if it is a priority to anybody, I think that'll be exciting and helpful as well.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
I think that might be being worked on by one of the other provinces here in Canada. They were waiting for, I think they were waiting for Credo to support OIDC for VCI, and the I is the issuance part, draft 11. I think they'd coded some support to draft 8, but we're waiting for the 05. Essentially, they needed the 050 release of Credo so they could support draft 11, and then they were going to finish their work. So some of this work might be in progress at the moment, and I don't see anybody on the call who can speak to that. So I think we'll just have to We can check with them in Discord. I think it would be Mustafa who might have some thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so can probably expect this proof request to get merged shortly. I will ping Timo and I think just get them to do the conflicts. I guess we can automatically run the checks too, but yeah, get them to do the conflicts, and then it's a big one, right? Like 106 files changed. They probably didn't. Wasn't many files they didn't touch in the app, so expect just kind of ripping through to see what it looks like. Yeah, expect a few changes in there. So check that one out.
I expect just to see that because all the import statements we're gonna need to be updated.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't.
Hopefully it's a lot of small changes. Hopefully that's the bulk of it.
Yeah. Most of these do look like import changes. They're changing like namespaces. Have obviously renamed their library with this release. So, I mean, that's, easy change. So more eyes on it, the better. If you want to check out the pull request and comment on it, this helps. Always supported. Always appreciated, rather. All right. So out about
The Credo is still on a pre-release, correct? Of 0.50?
no, they've released a couple of weeks ago. I think
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
2 to 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, they have a final release out.
Where are we at? Credo publishing. One's going to be, I guess, just more housekeeping. But, Rise helping set up our infrastructure to use the Open Wallet Foundation namespace. And we saw a little bit of that, I think, in some of these imports. Looks like they use a Credo TS namespace. So we'll have to talk to Rye a little bit in the Bifold channel. So they went from Aries framework. And I think we publish all of our packages under the Hyperledger namespace. But we'd like to get a 1.0 release out. So I guess this is probably a conversational topic, not more than me talking at you, but I think we'd like to get AFJ Credo 050 in there, then published under an actual release so that, we're not just continuously publishing alphas, and then get this moved into the proper namespace with that 1.0. So what that namespace is, if it's going to be OWF or if it's going to be our own Bifold namespace, I don't know. Thoughts?
Using bifold will reduce the odds of collisions with other package names because it's a tighter scope than OWF.
I'd be fine with that. So we'd probably do stuff like Bifold core. That's what it might look like. I will talk to Rye about that. Anybody have thoughts on that one? Anybody else? All right, well, we'll continue that conversation in Discord. Yeah, expect to see that conversation showed there. Okay, so ripping along here. So last meeting, we had a few people talk about some tech support issues. So we can continue with that. How to patch bifold. And this can be just general conversation. Like, I think we've got through all the things that I needed to announce, and we can just have a bit more of a community chit chat. So, was it Alberto? Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. Yeah, I think last call, you guys gave us some really good pointers on kind of helping us, work through a structure where we can easily, update our bifold instance. We definitely see some improvements in our sandbox environment. I think this is kind of what we mentioned last meeting, where we saw some dropped connections with the mediator and things like that. And I think Clecio mentioned that the BC Gov wallet has some patches regarding some caching of the NDVDR, along with some other very nice patches. So what we're trying to do is we're kind of trying to upgrade our whole sandbox environment. I think, again, Clecio, you mentioned something about using like a Redis implementation on the mediator, and we're kind of all doing that at the same time to kind of get this more stable, at least our sandbox environment. And part of our efforts is moving some of these patches into Bifold. And if you take a look at the last screenshot in the Bifold channel, we stumbled upon an issue. We were able to run it no problem without the patches, but as soon as we put in the patches, it seemed to encounter a problem at the native level. We were running it on Android. So I haven't gone into it too much. I have someone here, Pankaj, who works with me on this project, who's been running this and trying to just contribute back if we can. But it seems like what I'm just by looking at the error, and actually, Jason, you mentioned sending the logcat, right, to actually see, and I think you even shared a video where the app kind of just crashes. So it seems like maybe some of these patches may be binded to a version the BC wallet is using.
So Alberto, were you able to actually get the raw bifold working, like out of the box, clone it, run it?
Yes, that's working fine. Yeah.
So our patches are applied. I mean, like some of these patches, I mean, most of them should work for you. And the ones with caching, I don't know actually which one that is. Probably.
Yeah, there's a couple
the VDR.
In the VDR.
It's either, I think there's another one. The second one is also a VDR one.
Yeah, so we just use, I mean, like there's no real magic to the way we do our patches. We've used the yarn patch mechanics. So you run the yarn patch, you tell it what you want to patch, and then you patch it and it builds these patches. So, and then you can find them in the
I'll mention one thing. One thing that we have came across quite frequently is the dependency version.
Yeah,
if you have your own version, whenever you run yarn install, it will try to patch the latest one. and we've noticed that sometimes is not always a good thing. So I would encourage you to check again, just get vanilla, the bifold one, vanilla one, do a yarn info, check all the dependencies and make sure that they are the exact same version. Especially there's some intermediate dependency that usually moves around, but check the package files, make sure that you're using the same version because I don't see those patches would be
Mm,
breaking the wallet that way, but a unexpected dependency upgrade could.
okay. All right, then that makes sense. Because yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting from just the error. But yeah, I think this is a good point. Okay.
So we do that, I think, Alberto, by specifying the version. I've highlighted it on my screen in the resolution section of the package.json. That's how we do it. Yeah, Clesio?
Uh, no, it has to do, you have to look into the locked version. So the yarn info will probably be the best command to go by. Because again, the package.json is just at high level. It will allow semantic update. We do like some specific that we know it will break for sure. We added under resolution to be specific. Like we don't want this to accidentally update whatsoever.
Got it. Got it. Okay. All right, we'll take a look at that then.
Yeah.
And sort of just a second question, because and kind of moving away from this a little bit. So on the fresh clone, bifold, right? The main branch as it currently is. I think I pulled this yesterday and tested it against uh, an issuer. I see that it creates a connection, but then it doesn't move past that. I definitely see a new screen with so right now our current bifold instance is the one with the Indie SDK. Like right after scan the QR code, you start getting the credential right away, and then you either accept or decline. But now I see like this chat, kind of screen, right, where you can send messages to sort of the issuer and stuff. So now with the same issuer, just the way it is, it works on the old bifold instance. But with this new kind of messaging screen, after it connects, I never get a credential. So my guess here is I may need to do more of a setup, maybe configure something in Bifold. I know this is kind of like a broad question, but just wondering if you guys seen this before.
Have you
So
got something set? Go ahead,
go
Clesio.
ahead. It should take you to the kind of the chat screen when you
Yeah,
connect to someone and should just sitting there waiting for the credential offer or presentation request.
right.
However, you can annotate the invitation URL to include Go codes. And those Go codes could tell you to wait for a proof request or wait for an offer. So if you want the flow to scan and wait for something, then you need to annotate the invitation URL with a Go code for that. Otherwise, the non-annotated one by default, it will take you to the chat messaging screen and wait for it.
So usually what we do is we don't kind of wait for anything. It connects and at the same time it gets the credential. Is that a different flow? It sort of does
Uh,
both at the same
no,
time.
no, it's not a
Yeah.
different flow. Can you repeat? So if you scan a QR code, so are you saying you're not seeing any credential offer whatsoever?
Right, exactly. But with the old wallets, I get it automatically. Like I can see the offer and I can
No,
either accept or decline. Yeah.
you should still see it.
Okay. All right
Yeah,
then. All right
yeah,
then
you
I'm
should
just
still see it. So maybe um do you have it running? Because if you have the Metro logs, we can take a look on that. I don't know if you can
I
do right
can
now, but
send I can send some of the Metro logs. I actually posted it yesterday in the channel. It's very brief logs. I think if you go to the channel, you to see like I just sent like maybe the last parts of it. You can see the screenshot. So
Team, I'm kind of hesitant to go too deep into the weeds here because there's a lot of
Yeah.
people on the call who
Yeah.
probably don't want to dig into logs. So I'm gonna have to put a
So-
pin in that issue at the moment, but we can continue that conversation on the Bifold channel.
Sure.
I think the message Clesio is giving out there is you should see the credential offer, and it should show up as a text, like what looks like a text message in the chat. I might
Yeah.
suggest trying the Animo demo, which I've got on my screen, because
Okay.
it's known to be working, and that way you can eliminate your whatever is doing
Right.
your issuing to make sure that it automatically does issue a credential, just to make because you should be seeing it, and like Clesio said, you should see it in the logs where you get the offer immediately. And if you want to automatically navigate off that screen and accept the proof request, like take me to the proof request, the offer screen so I can do this. Well, you can use the goal codes like Clesio commented there. It'll help the app understand what your workflow is trying to do and take you to, the next step in that workflow. So you get your offer and you automatically want to start processing that offer. Well, you'd use a goal code to annotate the offer, and the app will know what to do.
Okay, got it. All right. Thank you, Jason.
Anybody else got some interesting bifold challenges? All right, well, that might be a wrap for today then. It looks like Rai has chimed in the Discord channel, and he's got a wiki set up for us. So I will take the notes and post the recordings there. I will also take the same information from last week and post it there. So we will be officially moved into Bifold, but maybe I'll just take the note and post that into the channel here, the chat, so that anybody. Okay, that looks like our new home. So expect to see today's meeting minutes and recordings there, along with last week as well. Anybody else got some final thoughts before we pack it up for today and reconvene in 2 weeks?
Is anybody planning on going to IIW in April?
Might just be you. Clesio's going to be there, everybody.
Well,
So find him and say hello.
Actually, I will not. Our
Oh.
travel request got declined.
Right. None of us will be there.
Steven will be there.
Okay. Look up Steven. Say hello.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Bye, everybody. Talk to you in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Bye.